So let's start off with why don't you guys introduce yourself, a little bit about your organization, and maybe if you want to talk about your position as well.
You want to go first, Jasmine?
No, you can go first, Andrew.
Okay. Well, my name is Andrew Wright. I'm a grade 12 at West Hill Secondary School, and I am one of three co-presidents at Youth Power for Climate Justice. I'm also going to introduce Jordan real quick. Jordan is also a grade 12 student who she goes to Westmount Secondary School, and she is our founder. And I kind of only really got involved because she was doing it, and she found out that I was okay at public speaking because I'm a drama kid, and so she wrote me in, and now I haven't left. So that's a little bit about us. And yeah, our organization, we're just trying to be a group of young people for young people, trying to educate others, trying to inspire others, and maybe break down the climate crisis into a bit more digestible chunks so it's not so overwhelming, because it's really easy to fall into a cynical spiral of just being like, oh my goodness, doom and gloom, the world's going to end. That's not helpful. It's better to break it down into digestible chunks in ways that we can actually help one another and actually take feasible steps towards changing our systems and whatnot. And maybe Jasmine, if you wanted to explore a little bit more of our core ideals as well.
So hi. So I am Jasmine. I am one of the co-presidents at Youth Power for Climate Justice. Currently, I am a grade 11 student, and the reason why I joined Youth Power for Climate Justice was because I wanted to help contribute to making a change related to environmental advocacy. And so about our organization, so one of our core principles is to basically empower youth and empower other marginalized groups, especially those that face socioeconomic barriers or any other types of barriers that others face. And we also aim to educate and inspire others on the climate crisis, and to hopefully bring others together to kind of to bring like a sense of belonging and identity, and to know that we are not alone in facing the climate crisis. So.
Well, that's good to great to hear. I actually really love it when youths or people in general step up and really focus on issues they find really important to talk about. It really makes me happy knowing that there are other people out there. So I appreciate what you guys are doing. And once again, thank you for joining this live. And if anyone during the conversation in the chat want to drop a question, feel free to, and we'll try our best to answer them. So continuing on, so I think we should dive into our questions now, if you guys ready. Okay, so our first question. So some of these questions are from our organization youths. They prepare these questions. So our first question is, what are some key environmental issues affecting young people of Ontario, or in general the Ontario citizens of today?
So specifically geared towards like what's affecting youth and our age group, students, that kind of thing.
Yeah, roughly that, because what we also aim is that young people in general have like not being there, like their voices are not being as like heard as much as other age groups in general. So yeah, like our age group or young people, I would say.
And in terms of how we're being affected, or in terms of how young people are affecting the climate crisis?
Oh, how we are being affected, like what type of issues are affecting us.
Gotcha. Because my first thought goes to I look around my school and I feel like I see litter everywhere. But I'm not here to rant about that. My first thought just goes to how we have uncertainty about the future. A lot of countries, a lot of young adults, people who would generally be looking to making families, are scared to bring children into this world. And that's just because we don't know what the future is going to look like. And of course, I'm 17. I'm not planning on having a family in the next 5, 6, 7. It would probably be at least 10 years for me. But even still, knowing that, oh, I want to have a family one day. oh, do I actually want a family one day if this is the kind of world that we don't know what's going to happen next? So certainly just worrying about what's going to happen in the future, uncertainty in terms of job certainty, uncertainty in knowing what kind of opportunities we're going to have and what housing is going to look like, what jobs, careers, all of that. Yeah, my first thought is just climate anxiety. You have anything to add, Jasmine?
Something I would like to add is that let me try to click my thoughts. Right. Okay. So something that I would like to add is that something that just comes to mind is just like nobody really wants to see I guess like pollution in the air. It's just really depressing and stuff. And it and like and even if you don't recognize it, it just subconsciously just like it can affect your mental health and physical health too. So it's
Yeah,
just not
Go
I
ahead.
totally agree. Like how Jordan's saying the climate anxiety and low access to nature. So I'm not too sure if you guys saw the news about the Highway 413 that's planning to be built. It affects climate change and pollution and nature's just like all in one. And I totally understand the fear of like what's going to happen in the future because how climate change is going on and how roughly like it's speeding up with the whole pollution and the whole destruction of nature. It's just too horrible out there.
Mm-hmm.
Encourage separation of human and the environment. Yes, Jordan, I agree. I 100% agree. Currently in the news, you can see deforestation, agriculture issues, many climate change related issues going on out there. And it's really scary, not gonna lie, because as you can tell, the statistics and data coming up, it's gonna be hard for humans to live. So it's scary. It's a scary world out there. So continue on following to that question. What do you think can the government do? Like specifically related to these issues or these topics we picked up right now?
Once again, my first thought goes to certainty in policy, promises, but
Mm-hmm.
not only promises on change, but actually acting on them. Because surprisingly, politicians like to make promises and don't always follow through on them. Whoa, who would have thought
Mm-hmm.
that? But yeah, I know Canada has made some pretty bold plans of maybe trying to have net zero emissions by what 2030 2035. I don't know, I can't remember. I think it was 2050. I'm pulling numbers out of nowhere. I
Mm-hmm.
apologize. I can't remember off the top of my head, but the government needs to show us that they are hearing us, that they are actively pursuing change and systemic change at a very deep level. Because if we don't know that our politicians are actually working to create a future for us, how can we really be certain about anything?
Mm-hmm.
And we have to see in through action what the government is actually doing for us and for our future.
Yeah. Jasmine, would you like to add something?
Yes, something that I would like to add is that the government can is that they can invest in green infrastructure,
Mm-hmm.
um, and also just promote more biodiversity around Hamilton.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Hamilton, while some effort is being done to promote green spaces and that there that could be used for it's such as adding like pollinators, gardens, or things like that. And the government can also encourage and invest in public transportation because cars really they emit a lot of like gas and stuff. But if more people just use public transportation,
Mm-hmm.
we can limit the amount of carbon dioxide that's just going into the atmosphere, and things like that. So those are just two things I've just thought of.
Yeah, and if I can just give maybe another example or so.
Yeah.
I take a world issues class right now. And we learn about different countries all over the world. And one of the countries we did a case study on was Singapore. And Singapore actually has less land area than the Hamilton area alone, not including Dundas, not including Ancaster, Stony Creek, any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And Hamilton has a population of about 500,000. Singapore has a population of 5.8 million. And surprisingly, Singapore is not actually a poor country. It's actually pretty well laid out. The infrastructure is very efficient in its land use.
Mm-hmm.
And so if our government invested more in efficient urban planning, we could house many more people much more cost effectively and without needing to, for example, develop the green belt like Doug Ford tried to do. And like they did it under the guise of trying to lower housing costs. But really, if we use the land we already have well, it won't be necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really important that our government is using the things we have to our advantage and not trying to do certain things for profit as opposed to people.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. And in the chats, there are quite some people adding on. So if we start off like Jordan has said, and fossil fuels subsidize, put money into laws and policies. I agree on that one. That make sustainably more accessible to the average Canadian. And we got one of our audience here said more biking. Yes, I totally agree on that. But in generally, like how we heard going back to Doug Ford, he did not step on his promises. So there should be consequences for those politicians who do not step up to their promises being made because, if you're the one that elected them, they should stand on to their promises. But at the end of the day, it's all about sustainability and how you can implement those laws, those policies for better living, I would say. So yeah, good points there. When we're going to the next question, now we know what the government can do. Now, as one of the persons said, start biking. So my next question kind of goes to there. What can we as a public do? If the government can put more in laws and policies, as you have mentioned before, like littering is like a whole its own topic. It's a big topic. But what can like the public do? What can like the public, as in like any age group, can do to like focus on these issues? Like I know climate change, fossil fuels, like there's broad topics and big topics that you need more higher level authorities to like deal with it. But as we general the public, what do you guys think we can do?
Once again, tying back to the getting the government to do things, I think most important thing in my opinion is being an active citizen. Voting. 18 to 35-year-olds don't vote. Ford got in with a majority government with less than 40% of the popular vote. But that aside, also it's showing, letting your voice be heard, climate rallies, strikes, talking to your politicians, making sure they're aware of where you stand in terms of the climate crisis, urging them to action. But on an individual basis, which of course is what you're referring to here, recycle properly. Like it's not hard to research a little bit, find out what goes where, what should go in a green bin, what should go in your recycling, what should go in your garbage. If you can, pick up trash. It's better to do it in community for sure. I know at my school, I really want to work with our eco club to do picking up trash around our school because we didn't get around to doing that last year, and I think it's something that's really important. And yeah, public transit, biking, walking, those things are good for your health and they're good for getting places with low emissions. And and like Jordan's saying here, engage others, educate, try and be an active person on social media, try and help others learn about some basic things, which quite frankly, yes, climate change is a part of the school curriculum now, but I even feel like some of the most important things aren't actually taught in the school curriculum. And I think it's important that we talk about maybe some of the things we've mentioned today in our schools and beyond, so that we're all on the same page, so we're all educated on this really, really important topic.
Something that I would like to add That systematic action and individual action, both Jordan and Andrew have mentioned, is really important. They both work hand in hand. With individual action, we can all just take the initiative to just go out and just kind of show our curiosity. We can read like a bunch of articles. We can read a bunch of, or probably even just talk to other people or listen to professionals in the environmental industry to kind of learn about the environment and ways that we can reduce our ecological footprint. And so something that's and something that we can also do is just host workshops to educate others, possibly on invasive species, fossil fuels, fast fashion. There's a lot of things that tie into the climate crisis. And a systematic action. We could also I guess like organize rallies to kind of raise awareness on the climate crisis and to show that that we need to take action now, and it's not something that we can just delay until later. So
I agree, and mostly some people in Jordan as well talking in the chat. Education, first step is educating yourself, gaining more knowledge in this, and our organization this summer hosted like a community litter picking up. We just wanted to start out real small and do something. And the change I've seen where a lot of people, different age groups came out. So it kind of shows how people want to like take care of the earth, take care of their community. So just educating yourself and, trying to put in the pressure on the government, trying to like talk to people. Just the more you spread about this, the more people will get to know about it and the consequences of this if you don't focus on it. So I really agree with the part educating yourself first step foremost and just starting off small. It may seem really small, but to be honest, making a really big difference. So yeah, I actually agree on those points. And thank you to everyone in the comments. This is like the most active comment section I have ever seen. So that's really nice. I like it today. Okay. Going on to our next question. These questions kind of overlap each other because they're bound to kind of overlap. So the next question is, as we have seen youths, I know I'm focusing more on youths, but if you want to add in other age groups, you may as well. It's just that our organization kind of focus on youths more often. So as we've seen, youths are now stepping up and projecting their voices like protests, talking with the government members. We also talked about what else they can do to make a change, but does this actually make a difference? In your opinion, do these protests or talking with government members or spreading on social media, does it make a difference? And in your opinion, how much does it make a difference? Does it make a lot of difference or a little bit?
My first thought, again, is it's creating hope. It's creating a sense of community, because anything is bigger when you're facing it alone. And so when you're in community and you're facing something as big as the climate crisis, it feels better to know that people are with you, that you aren't alone. And once again, those kind of rallies, they're good for educating people. They're good for helping people become more aware of these climate crisis topics and issues that people aren't really aware of. And most importantly, it gets our voices to the people who can actually make the change, who can actually fight in the trenches of parliament, either provincial or federal. And climate activism, it can feel so big, but I keep on going back to a quote by Helen Keller. I apologize if I don't remember it exactly, but it's, "I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something," something like that. And I kind of tie that to how with activism, your single voice can sound like a drop in a bucket. But if you put together millions and even up to billion, we have billions of people in this world. If we come together and we put all those droplets together, we can become a tidal wave. And I believe it can become a tidal wave for change. And truly coming together to fight the crisis is the best way to address it and to make change happen.
Something that I would also like to add is that with rallies, right? Because these rallies are already a community and stuff, right? Some people nearby could be like, oh, what's going on? And so it could like spread, whether that's through news outlets or anything. And also during these rallies, you could also have like politicians, or you could have city councilors join you, and they can also spread the word about the rallies and the importance of advocating for the climate. Um, and also just participating in these rallies can also just like inspire people to take individual action. So yeah.
I agree. It's just that it's really hard when it comes to more political views or climate change to get people to join you. But as Jordan mentioned, it kind of, the higher power who are like a little corrupted want to show as it's not making a big difference when in reality it does. Because the more pressure you put on someone or a certain issue, it tends to do make a difference. I get that question a lot. Like, does one person or does genuinely having a small group actually make a difference? And I usually say back, it does if you put in the work and the effort and continue on, putting the pressure. Like, for example, our organization or your guys, like climate change, if you guys put the pressure on. And I saw in your recent post that there was like a strike that happened or a protest that you guys did, you guys hosted together. It does really make a difference. People do want to join if they see that there are people out there making a difference and more people want to join. It's just the startup is more difficult, but eventually does make a difference. And that's what I want to say as my viewers or the people that are going to watch this later on. It really does make a difference. So, yeah.
Can I build on that idea?
Sure.
I really like how you mentioned how starting it up can be really hard. But the thing is that all of us, to some degree at this point, are aware of the climate crisis, right? And we all want to do something about it. But the issue is most people don't know what they can do about it. And so if you as a one person go out there and you give tangible ways for people to help, to make their voices heard, to make change happen, people are going to come with you because they know about the issue. They just have been too scared to address it because it's been too big for them. But if you can break it down, if you can make it digestible, then you can get a whole, it's like a spark, right? And you can create a whole flame.
I agree. Yeah, that is very true, to be honest. So I think we already touched on this, but this is more specific to youths, just youths in general. If I give your age range around ages 15 to 25. So this kind of personally happened with me where my voice was not being heard. But in your opinion, in your own experience, do you think the voices of youths between ages 15 and 25, I'm going to be specific here, do you think the voices of youths are actually being heard? Are they actually being heard, or is it like taking time to be heard?
That's an interesting question. I will say, when Jasmine, Jordan, and I went to delegate to city council earlier in the year, they were definitely happy to see young people because most of the people who participate in politics are much older than us. Yeah, I can see where you're kind of getting with that because as youth, well, we can't necessarily get elected to positions of power yet. Our brains aren't even fully developed. How are we supposed to be leading a country if we don't even have a developed prefrontal cortex? But that aside, it's important that all groups of people are represented. And most youth aren't going to. Most youth aren't going to speak up for themselves because they haven't been taught how. I mean, education works for some, but not for everybody. And so I definitely think that 15 to 25 range, 25-year-old range, if you can get out there and you can speak on behalf of the people who maybe are too scared to, that is so crucial. And the politicians want to hear it. Like, genuinely, they want to do the best for everybody. And if the only perspective they're getting is from the working class 30 to 70 or 65-year-olds, then how are we supposed to make policies tapered to the school age and the students?
Exactly.
So yeah, that's personally why I think it's really important that us younger people are being involved and are actually fighting for change.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm. Something else that I'd like to add, as Jordan said, um, she thinks that there is a lot of prejudice against youth, and and yes, I do agree with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, let me try and repick my thoughts. Um, it's just that like especially as youth, I remember I went to a rally and stuff. Um, and this other person, I guess they're kind of being a little disrespectful toward me because I was youth, right? They're like, well, you're youth, your voice doesn't really matter, right? Like you're not old enough to make these decisions. But the truth is that like um that even if you're just youth, we really all have a voice. We just need that encouragement and the strength to power through.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree. Like
mhm.
in my personal experience, I wanted to start a youth council in my community where I live in Caledon, and it's a really interesting story. It's kind of confusing. We can't go really on assumptions, but it's kind of you can like clearly tell the biasness here. I want to start a youth organization. I connected with the community center authorities, like who run the youth groups here or the the youth programs here. So I connected with them, and for a couple of weeks, it was really going well. We had the setup, we had the layout, and we were ready to go. We had other youths joining, and then I was supposed to hear back from them for a couple of days, but it's been a week. I didn't hear back, so I sent out an email. And I sent out a call. I got nothing, no replies back, nothing. And then, so I just decided maybe they're busy. Life happens, stuff comes up. I went to the community center to talk about it because it's been more than 3 weeks now. And they're saying, we didn't receive any emails or a phone call from you. That took me by surprise. And then I checked my email. I said, it did send. And they're like, but we were never even planning to open up a youth council. So that shocked me. I was thinking like, okay, but we did had like a whole Zoom call, a whole thing. Like, is that, that wasted my time? Like, what was the reason for that? And I figured out in genuinely they opened up a youth club off of a political party and not off of an individual who wanted to open up youth council. So that kind of shows the biasness here that you rather go and portray that this political party is really great because they're opening up a youth council, which I'm not saying is bad because we do need a youth council here, but like the way I wanted to open it, the way like a student's voice was supposed to be portrayed here did not work out. And a 30-plus-year-old man in a political party, his voice is being portrayed and it's being ruled by someone who's not a youth. So I saw that difference, and that is my experience, how I felt. And as Jordan said, and as Jasmine said, there is prejudice and biasness. I would say a lot of biasness out there. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going out there.
Thank you
Um,
for sharing.
No, no problem. It's just a story I had. It's kind of hurts at some point, but then it's like, that's the reality about life out there. So I appreciate, more youth stepping up and talking about these issues. So yeah, and so going on to our next question, s- this is one of my major questions that I get a lot, but in my experience, I have only some resources. So asking you guys, do you know any resources where you can find or like share their ideas, give their complaints or anything like that? Like what I'm trying to ask here is like websites, articles, anything where youths can go, because like some youths are not like, you know, that courage to come up front like how we are to show their issues. So do you have any resources that you want to tell them or anything where they can share their ideas or give out complaints or anything like that?
Um, I don't have few too many off the top of my head, but the first two things I did think of was first and foremost, you can delegate to politicians at any time, and it doesn't. You don't even necessarily need to go into person for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can send in written things. Sure, those don't often get as much attention because politicians get a million of those, but it's something.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone can delegate. I didn't know that. Why don't they teach me that in civics and careers?
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go up and talk to politicians, you can. You can do it as by means. They'll give you your 5 minutes. And then, like Jordan's saying, find out who your MPP is or MP.
Mm-hmm.
So your provincial like representative or your federal, and email them. Try, and if you really want to, you can try and set up a meeting or get involved with groups that will allow you to get more connected to them. It's just there's only so much you can do if you don't want to get out there, but that's okay because there's certainly ways that you can get into contact with your politicians, and then you can also go on social media and you can help make others aware of even just sharing things is super helpful. Like I know most of my information sometimes feels like it just comes from flipping through my stories of people sharing important things. But yeah, do you have any specific like resources that you use, Jasmine?
Not really, but I also just kind of wanted to add on to your point. Regarding delegations, I'm pretty sure that you can like write something and then you can submit it, or you can take a video of yourself talking, like talking about your opinion or what you are planning to say, and then you can just submit it, and then it'll just be played at the meeting. And also just what Andrew was talking about. Yeah, basically just like just sharing like just sharing any events or any helpful resources to your Instagram story, or even just talking about it to your friends or family members can be helpful. Even if it's like even if it's just for one person, it's still something that can like that can spark a change.
Yeah, I agree. And like how Jordan's saying spam, it may sound rude, it may sound unethical, but sometimes spamming is the solution. I do spam some of my emails and then I get a reply. I send like 5 emails and then I get 1 email back. So I totally agree on that point. And also like sharing on your stories, I share most of the issues or events on my stories. One thing I would like to add on petitions, if you read through it and you truly agree with it, and there are petitions out there. I started one too before for Highway 413. So those type of resources can be helpful. So thank you for answering that. That's really specific question that a lot of my youths were having. So yeah, that was one. Or you can like there's also how you say you can like delegate, you can record a video and they get to play. You can also only record your voice and you can send it to the Ontario legislative if you have like a bigger issue or bigger thing you want to portray. So there's that too. Thank you for the audience for being really active. So we're coming towards our end of our talk show. It was really great talking. But is there any finish comments that you guys want to give? And if the audience have any last few questions to like wrap it up, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Sorry, it's my buddy Ash in the chat. But definitely, if you're interested in getting involved to any degree, please reach out to our Instagram at youth climate for
youth power
for climate justice. Okay, yeah, so youth power for number 4 climate justice. If you reach out to us, we would love to utilize anybody's skills and working towards helping people get educated. If you have graphic design skills, social media, if you like writing speeches, if you like doing research, if you like making presentations, you like talking in front of people, whatever it is, you name it, we can find a way to utilize your skills, and we would love to get you involved. And yeah, we're a nonprofit organization branched off of Green Venture, but we have complete autonomy. Ash, if that was your question. And yeah, we have a climate strike on Friday, and we try to do climate strikes every single month. So this one is going to be October 27th, 4 to 5 p.m., just right outside Hamilton City Hall. So anyone is welcome to attend, and we'll have speakers and just try and help our voice get heard right where it counts, because City Hall is where real decisions get made. So yeah, I can't think of too much else other than just keep educating yourself, just keep fighting, keep trying to get involved if you have time. And if you don't have time, that's okay, because a lot of us are still young. There's still a lot of time in the future to get involved, and yeah, the future is going to come no matter what. So yeah, there's all the time to step in, literally any time.
just connecting to back to the point, if you don't have time, that is also okay. Just it, if you're watching the news or if you're going through Instagram, just try not to fall into biasness and try to like just
Yeah.
educate yourself. If you can't really do much or if you're busy, life happens, right? And we're still young, so yeah, just try not to fall into biasness and just educate yourself. That would be my opinion. Jasmine, would you like
Yeah.
to add something?
Um, Not really, no. I'm pretty sure
Mhm.
you and Andrew covered it all, so.
Yeah, I can add two more
Mhm.
things. Jordan just said this: think critically. Don't just take things at face value every time you see it.
Mhm.
Also, I feel like this kind of goes against a little bit about what we were saying, but it's good to not just doom scroll. Like, if
Mhm.
you are educating yourself on Instagram and you just could fall through a rabbit hole of learning a bunch of depressing
Mhm.
information, that's also not helpful. So be careful, be mindful
Mhm.
of what you're feeding yourself, because
Mhm.
quite frankly, I actually hate Instagram. I'm trying to get off of it just because I find it's messing up
Mhm.
my time management and messing up my dopamine levels. So it's good to educate yourself with a source you're comfortable with using that maybe won't
Mhm.
take you down a darker path. And Ash, to answer your question, yes, you can earn volunteer hours from the organization that we're a part of. You can get your volunteer hours signed off with our partner at Green Venture. And yes, I absolutely agree. Instagram Reels are so addicting. It's literally how the world is functioning. I'm not going to rant about that today.
But yeah, I agree too. It is addicting. Going back to Jordan's question, the petition, it kind of got closed off. We already had a couple of signatures, but it's gonna come back because the 413 still a big issue. The Highway 413, so we'll be back in our link in our bio. But I agree. Yes, Instagram can be really addicting, and that is why a lot of my friends fall into biasness here, and then they're like, oh, we only believe one side. And I'm like, you're supposed to know both sides of the stories, before you make any assumptions or judge based on that. So, yes, Instagram is really addicting, but a lot of youths are on Instagram, so it's 50-50, trying to get people's attention as well is really helpful. I would
Be
suggest,
mindful.
yeah, be mindful, yeah. I would suggest as well, anything little thing you do will make a big difference. Like how Andrew has said before,
Definitely.
if you recycle properly, you are making a really big difference. Recycle properly. So there's one thing there. And yeah, that's all from me. If anyone else has any questions, last minute questions, please feel free to pop it in. But other than that, thank you so much for coming here. I'm sorry once again, Jordan. Technical issues. I could not invite everyone here, but I really appreciate everyone coming out and joining our conversation. And thank you for you two to join in and giving us your time on this critical issue that we were talking about. So thank you so much.
Of course. And I feel like there's so many things we didn't even get a chance to touch on.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love if we could set together something like this again, because there's so many fantastic things that are worth talking about, that are worth the audience's time, if we can put that together.
Yeah, we could do it together for like a part two with you guys if interested, because at the same time, you know, time goes by fast and then we only have like a short amount of period to like do these talk shows. But yes, I would also be interested in doing like a part two where we can talk more in depth and other different questions. So yeah, that'd be nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having us.
No
Seriously, we
problem.
really appreciate you reaching out and
Mm-hmm.
giving us the opportunity and this platform. Really thankful.
No problem. Thank you. And
Yeah.
yes, Jordan, part two, yeah. Sure, we'll talk about that. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Hope you have a great night then. Thank you.
Yeah, you too. Have a good
Nice.
weekend, guys.
Okay. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.